In the past decades, Europe has been under siege. Immigrants flood in by the millions, and the various governments and authorities assist them in doing so. Is it too late to stop this disaster? Watch till the end to find out. In 2022, around 5.1 million immigrants entered the European Union, the highest number since 2013 and equivalent to the population of Ireland. As of January 2023, approximately 27.3 million non-EU citizens reside in the EU. If immigrants with EU citizenship are included, there are now 38 million people born outside the EU living in it, or a staggering 8.5% of the population. In 2022, the EU, Norway, and Switzerland received around 966,000 new asylum requests, marking a 50% increase from the previous year and the highest since 2016. Illegal immigration remains a significant issue, with about 330,000 illegal border crossings detected in 2022, a 64% increase from 2021. The Western Balkan and Eastern Mediterranean routes were the primary entry points. Immigrant and immigrant-descended communities in Europe have increasingly sought special rights, privileges, and resources funded by European taxpayers. Billions of tax dollars have been spent on them, while many native Europeans continue to face homelessness and poverty. Critics of these policies are labeled by mainstream outlets as far-right or racist. Europe's lenient immigration policies have been associated with a rise in violent crime across the continent. There are concerns that violent offenders, including those committing serious crimes like murder and rape, are compromising the safety of European citizens, heightening worries about public safety and social stability. In all but name, Europe is being invaded. These vicious waves of immigrants seem to have no end in sight. Faced with this onslaught, countries are waking up one by one, starting with Italy. Ever since her election, Giorgia Meloni, the Italian Prime Minister, has been on a mission to unite Europe's right-wing parties.
Io penso che ci sia un problema di compatibilità tra la cultura islamica o certa interpretazione della cultura islamica e i diritti e i valori della nostra città.
One of Meloni's key initiatives includes strengthening cooperation with countries of origin and transit to manage migration more effectively. Italy has forged agreements with Tunisia and Albania, aiming to control migrant flows by setting up patrols and security agreements. Mainstream news outlets have labeled Meloni as far-right and fascist, with some even comparing her to Mussolini. Yet nearly 6 in 10 Italians have a favorable opinion of her, placing her as the third most popular leader in the democratic world. Across Europe, governments are shifting right. In some places, so-called far-right leaders are taking power. In others, more traditional center-right parties are allying with the right-wing fringes, once considered untouchable. Hard-right parties are securing more parliament seats and regional offices. The Alternative for Germany party, AfD, has been under surveillance for supposed far-right extremism according to liberal media, yet it still outpolls Chancellor Olaf Scholz's Social Democrats and just scored a watershed district election win. Liberal news outlets said it was an alarming moment for a country conscious of its Nazi past. The last few years featured a series of eye-catching upsets in favor of right-leaning politicians. With more and more Europeans coming to their senses, more victories could be on the way, as places like Spain and Slovakia seem poised to turn right in upcoming elections. It's a development that will inevitably reshape Europe, with the potential to finally put an end to mass migration and save the collective European identity. And with the EU set to elect a new European Parliament, the rightward drift could also produce a more conservative Brussels for years to come, a period that will feature critical decisions on immigration policies and more. Yet behind these political upheavals are the European people who have had enough of the nonsense from the globe-trotting cosmopolitan elites. They march in protest all across Europe. Germans took to the streets of Cologne and Nuremberg, demanding stricter immigration laws and the protection of German cultural identity. The demonstrations were part of a broader campaign against the government's failure to control immigration effectively. The protests included slogans and banners calling for a halt to immigration and the deportation of illegal immigrants. About 23% of the people who live in Germany either are immigrants or their parents are or were. Germany is also the largest host country for refugees in Europe. In France, thousands marched across Paris and Calais, protesting against the government's immigration policy and the presence of refugee camps. Slogans such as "France for the French" and "Stop the Invasion" were common. Anti-immigration sentiment in France continued to be on the rise, with mass migration causing concerns about national security, economic stability, and cultural identity. Vienna, Austria, also experienced significant anti-immigration protests organized by up-and-coming parties like the Freedom Party of Austria. These protests, drawing up to 7,000 participants, were marked by calls for stricter immigration controls, deportations of illegal immigrants, and preservation of Austrian cultural identity. Approximately 30% of Vienna's population is made up of immigrants. Europe's shifting political landscape was on display in Brussels as EU leaders gathered for their regular summit. At the table was Petteri Orpo, Finland's new prime minister, who leads the Conservative National Coalition Party. His country's political journey illustrates the rightward turn that has taken hold in parts of Europe. After 4 years of a left-leaning five-party coalition government, voters abandoned Social Democrat Sanna Marin. Liberal media tried to pin the downfall of Sanna Marin on misogyny, when in reality Marin and her party lost the election because of out-of-control government spending which put Finland in heavy debt. This led to the establishment of the most right-wing government in Finnish history. Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis was also riding high on an election win. The 55-year-old centre-right leader romped home in the last national elections, notching a far bigger majority than his first time around. The people who occupy seats at the EU table are crucial for stopping immigrants from flooding into the EU. The European Council, which gathers the bloc's 27 leaders, must ultimately decide the EU's political priorities and policy initiatives. The first signs that Meloni was being embraced, not isolated, emerged at her first EU summit. As leaders tackled the thorny issue of migration, the Italian leader found she was pushing an open door, finding tacit support in the room for her desire to have EU policy focus more on deterring migrants from even coming to Europe. A few months later, centrist Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte and centre-right European Commission chief Ursula von der Leyen, the EU's top executive, were accompanying Meloni on a trip to Tunisia to try to curb migratory flows from the North African country, a show of European unity. The trip came only hours after EU countries clinched an Italy-friendly agreement on how to process and relocate migrants, which would give Meloni's government greater leeway to send back rejected asylum seekers. The rightward drift could soon jump to the European Parliament. In less than a year, voters will go to the polls to elect a new parliament, and parties holding anti-immigration views are predicting robust gains. The biggest gains may be for the more traditional centre-right parties. Yet due to the widespread devastation caused by mass migration, many people are turning to the further right European Conservatives and Reformists group, featuring Meloni and Poland's Nationalist Law and Justice Party, who have pledged to save the European identity. That would mirror national politics, with traditional conservative parties working with more far-right parties to stop the ever-growing threat of mass migration. From Sweden, where a conservative leader gets support from the far-right Sweden Democrats, to Finland, where the right-wing populist Finns party is in power, more right-wing parties are getting a chance to govern and influence government policies, a win for the people of Europe. There are signs a similar political calculation is underway in the European Parliament. The European People's Party, EPP, a centre-right pro-European political party, is already eyeing beneficial team-ups with the far-right. The EPP leads EU vote polls, while the far-right grows dramatically, with liberals in free fall. Liberal media is trying to stop this by publishing articles warning of what will happen if the far-right parties gain power. In reality, the people have become fed up with them and are voting for those who will look after the European interest. Olaf Scholz's grip on power is wobbly, and the rival Christian Democrats and far-right AfD are surging in the polls. In Spain, the country's main centre-right party, the People's Party, is confident it will win back power after trouncing Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez's Socialist Party in polls. In recent years, the EU has dictated the immigration policy of its member states, forcing them to accept masses of immigrants, regardless of the harm it's causing to their citizens. This represents a limitation of the freedom of individuals and national states that needs to be reversed. All across Europe, people are becoming increasingly fed up with paying the price for immigrants they owe nothing to. And that's the beauty of democracy: either follow the will of the people or be replaced by someone who will. Politicians ignore this at their own peril. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. We invite you to leave a comment below to tell us of your opinion on this matter.